American Indian reservations. However, I have visited the equivalent in other parts of the Western world, such as Australia.
Interesting. I don't know who that author was, but that was good of you to do, Jacob Hempkar. It was good of you to call into that show and challenge that guy. I mean, what I find to be the most frustrating about that kind of analysis is that kind of, well, America's great because we have freedom analysis, which is very common in the United States. Not as much anymore. I think now people are a bit more demoralized and people are a bit more frustrated, and it's not as bombastic as it used to be. But the problem with that kind of rhetoric, we heard it around Joe Biden's democracy summit, is that it separates freedom from conditions. And this is a really, really, really important fallacy in that analysis. That when did the concept of human rights or natural rights arise? Back to the 1400s in Europe. Now, why is that? Well, if you follow that man's logic, people were just bad until then. They were just bad. People were just bad and didn't believe in freedom and believed in tyranny until then. And then somebody had the brilliant idea. And no, it's related to the economic base. Try running a feudal agrarian society with the same amount of freedom that we have in Western capitalist countries. It's not possible. Freedom is intrinsically tied up with economic development. And when countries are underdeveloped, they are not as free. And when countries are more prosperous, they are more free. And that there's an adjustment. Yes, often there's an adjustment. In the 1960s Cultural Revolution in the United States, largely what it was that we had a lot more economic stability in the United States than we'd ever had before. And also people had more access to information than they'd ever had before, but we were still operating as if it was, the level of authoritarianism that had existed, during the Great Depression and prior. And it was, there was an adjustment, and, social norms were loosened, laws were loosened, the culture changed, became less militaristic, etc. We loosened things up because our economy got stronger, and the booming post-war economy laid the basis for more freedom, but it took a struggle, right? People had to push back against it. But this idea, when they moralize freedom, there's good countries that have freedom, there's bad countries that don't have freedom. That's not accurate, because freedom is based on actual conditions. And guys like that guy, whoever that author was, that you were, my gosh, has the sound been off all night? Oh my goodness. Has the sound been bad? How's the sound now? Is it any better? Yeah, for some reason my mic was not in. Has the sound been bad all night, or was it just since I came back in? But anyway, the idea that freedom exists in a vacuum and that it's just a moral question, that is one of the most common fallacies of imperialist propaganda.